Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a lap guide for Willow Springs Big Willow with the Volkswagen Scirocco. Let's get this started. Your first braking point is in between the 100 and the 50 meter mark. Brake hard for a super short moment, slowly start to ease off of the brakes as you turn in, and slowly start to accelerate. Make sure you don't touch the sand. Then ease off the throttle as you make this right turn. Wait until you're pointing towards the hills before you start to fully accelerate, and go up to 5th gear if you went down a gear during that turn. Bring yourself to the right, brake before you reach the 50 meter mark, brake hard for a short moment, slowly ease off of the brakes. You just want to try to get as close as you can to the apex without touching the sand. Slowly accelerate, then use some of your braking power to get the car to nicely rotate around this turn. Carefully apply the throttle here. Don't fight the car too much with its understeery tendencies. Then before the curb on the right ends, you want to brake hard for a short moment. Quickly start to ease off of the brakes. Just let the car cruise around this turn for a short moment. Then slowly start to accelerate. Eventually bring yourself to the left side of the track and brake just before you reach the 150 meter mark. You'll be using a little bit of your braking power for a short moment. Then just slowly start to apply the throttle. Just do some throttle control if necessary. Hit the apex without going into the sand, and you should be good to go. That is all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and talk about the strategies. Don't forget that this race is a standing start, so you want to have the traction control at 1, and shortly after the race starts, you can bring it down to 0 or whatever value you normally have it set to. So this is going to be a bit interesting because some cars start off the line much better than others. The Toyota 86 isn't one of them. The Audi TT Cup isn't one of them as well. But cars like the McLaren 650S and the Honda NSX start off pretty well. You can see that they already caught up to us and we're already battling for first. So that is something that you can think about as you're choosing your car to start this race. That way it can be possible for you to jump ahead a couple positions before you even reach the first turn. Just don't forget that the race is not won on the first turn nor on the first lap because, well, you have 15 laps to deal with the tire shenanigans and sand penalties. But anyways, the strategy for this race is a little interesting because 1 and 2 stops are viable for this race. So when it comes to the 1 stop, it's going to be the more common strategy between the front engine rear-wheel drive cars and the mid-engine rear-wheel drive cars. And that is simply because the tire wear on these cars are generally good enough to not have the tires shred so early on. So for example, here in this race with the Toyota 86, I was able to make the racing medium tires last 11 laps before I switched on over to the racing hard tires. If you're in a car that has heavy tire wear like the Audi TT Cup, you will need to pit earlier because the tire wear will be much heavier on the front tires. This also depends on your own driving style. So for example, if you keep on scrubbing the tires on turns like these, so if you have the red dot over the shift bar hanging out all the way to the left or all the way to the right side, then you're basically scrubbing your tires. You're initiating the steering lock. So that's going to end up scrubbing the tires and it'll basically just destroy your tire life. So that is something that you really do want to be careful about, especially as you go through the right turns, as that will destroy the front left tire, as that tire is going to be the one being the most impacted throughout this entire race. So if you can take care of that tire, prevent any sliding, prevent any tire scrubbing, then you should have a relatively easy time just going with the 1 stop. But if you're in a car that has heavy tire wear or your driving style promotes heavy tire wear, you can also think about going with a 2 stop. So this is where you basically just do 7 laps on the racing medium tires, another 7 laps on the racing medium tires, and only 1 lap on the racing hard tires. This basically lets you be on the racing medium tires for a total of 14 laps, so you can definitely make up the extra time lost in the second pit stop by just going really fast in the faster tire compound. The only problem with the 2-stop is that if you encounter traffic, if you end up getting blocked by them, you can't overtake them for one reason or another, that will slow you down and it's going to make the 2-stop fall apart. So basically, if you do the 2-stop, you want to try to have no one in front of you for as long as possible. And if someone is in front of you, you want to try to quickly pass them so you don't end up engaging in a long battle with them. You'll also be able to pass a couple cars as they do their one and only pit stops, so you will be able to undercut them as you most likely did a pit stop earlier than they did. So you'll be able to retake or even gain positions without having to do any extra effort yourself. But overall, you want to try to go for the 1-stop, but the 2-stop is always there if an opportunity arises. Just don't forget to use the racing hard tires for at least 1 lap because that is the required tires. So make sure you put them on so you don't get the 1-minute penalty that gets applied after the race ends. And also, fuel is a ×2, so you don't have to worry about fuel at all. So this race is a little bit of an interesting one because you have 2 tire strategies that are pretty viable here depending on the situation that you're in. The cars that can be used here is a little interesting as well because if you can handle the tire wear, if you can take care of the tires pretty well, then you can definitely get some good work done with the Audi TT Cup, which is pretty OP right now, especially in time trial. But if that's not the car that you want to use, there are plenty other cars that can be used here, like the Toyota 86, the Dodge Viper, the Megane Trophy, and so on and so forth. And yeah, that is pretty much it for this guide. So I just want to give you all a huge thank you for the crazy awesome support just over the past 1.75 of the year, 1.5 years. It's just been a long ride through here on YouTube, but I just want to give you all a huge thank you, especially as we're about to reach 8,000 subscribers, which blows my mind. But yeah, sorry that I've been MIA lately, just been trying to get myself together, but I will be trying to ramp up the video production and all that fun stuff. But anyways, it is time for me to sign off now because it is 5:30 in the morning, so I'm going to go ahead and go to bed now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.